And it's lights out.
Welcome back to another episode of Drive Through Penalty. I'm Sean. I'm here with my father, Craig. And this week we are heading to the Netherlands for the Dutch Grand Prix at the Zandvoort circuit. We're very happy to be back. Summer break's finally over. It feels like an eternity. And we're really happy to be making these videos again. If you like them, please like and subscribe. It means a lot to us. It shows you that you like and watch them. And we'll keep making them for you.
And it's great to be in Holland, the Netherlands. My favorite color is orange, as you can see. I've got the Dutch soccer jersey on, and I love going to Holland. I've been there probably 25 times. It's a great place, great people, and a great place for Formula One race.
It's definitely one of my favorite tracks, and we're going to do a lap later, so you guys get to do a little onboard of what the circuit looks like. But I think before we jump into any of that stuff,
100%.
There's something we got to cover.
Don't forget, this was the silly season, and it hasn't been that silly until today.
And there hasn't been any news at all over the summer break. However, I woke up this morning to some breaking news on the F1 website. It's been speculated that this was going to happen. We talked about it. We had a feeling, but tons of rumors in F1, and until it's official, it's just a rumor.
So it is official. The Cadillac team has their two drivers. I kind of understand, I think, why they made the decision they did, because Cadillac is in this for long term, and I think that the first year they're not going to be that successful, and I think they expect that. So instead of killing a couple of young drivers, I think they've taken two very savvy veterans with a really good history, and they put them into the cockpits. And I think what is good with that is, first of all, they had to be convinced to do this. So I think there's some kind of long-term deal, whereas they become ambassadors and they're with the team for another 10 years, whatever, right? And it's not a bad thing for Mr. Perez being in the country just south of the United States. So my point being is that I think these guys can do as good as anybody can in these cars. And if it means coming in 8th and 9th or whatever, they'll do it with a smile on their face. They were very impressed on the way that they were approached. I don't know, what are your feelings about it?
Well, I think as the team principal, thinking about the two best options as drivers, you need two veterans in there, because there's a lot of inputs from the driver. And, you see it with other teams, and you see frustration. We talk about it every week with Lewis and Charles, and cars aren't built the way they are. And I think they need a lot of guidance from veterans, and both of them are race winners. They've both been in F1 a long time, and I think they're going to add a lot of value to the engineers and tell them, things that the F1 drivers look out for, how to design the car. I think it's a great move. And, it's an easy yes if you're Valtteri or Sergio, because you currently don't have a seat in F1. Other rumors were that Alpine had made offers to both of them and they had turned it down. Maybe that's because they don't think Alpine has a good future with these new 2026 regulations, or maybe they just were offered more money from Cadillac and had already kind of sealed the deal there. But I think it was a no-brainer. I think it's a great move. I am excited for Cadillac to be on the grid. Team America, it's pretty cool. More cars, more action, more drivers. I think it's just good for the sport.
Don't forget, Cadillac has been doing other racing, the IMSA and all that, and they're very successful. It's not what I would have expected. Growing up, Cadillac was the Rolls Royce of America. It was the luxury car, and it was like 100 yards long. And but the cars are maybe the leaders in American motoring right now.
So I got a question for you. Out of the two drivers, Valtteri and Sergio, who finishes on top next year?
Well, I'm going to say Sergio, because I think Sergio, when he retired, had been lousy for 3 months. But prior to that, he was winning Grand Prix. He was beating Mr. Verstappen in a couple of times when he was in the same car. So, but I think they're both classy. And again, I think they're in it for the long haul. They have 2-year deals, I believe, but I think they've got whatever they want.
And I think what's going to be the most interesting part of seeing this team duo is both of these drivers have always kind of played the supporting role. Valtteri with Lewis at Mercedes, and he did an amazing job doing that. There's clips of him, letting letting Lewis pass even though he was ahead, but he just a real good team player. And then obviously Sergio with Max.
Just remember, he'd ever let him pass. He was told to let him pass.
Yeah, one of the best clips that you can find online. And then, Sergio being second in command at Red Bull and kind of just playing the supporting role with Max. So I'm excited to see who takes kind of that top position next year. And for the sake of this bet, I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be Mr. Bottas. So this week we're in the Netherlands for the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort. 72 laps, 4.29 kilometers long, 2 DRS zones, and this track is technical. It's a tricky one. If you watched our F1 Fantasy video, we kind of talked about some of the drivers and what their take is on this track. And the overall opinion is that it's tight and it's narrow. It's kind of like Hungary. So it's tricky, but the drivers really do like it. So historically, this track has been really good for passing. I think in the last 2-3 years, it was ranked second for most overtakes, but there were a lot of factors that kind of contributed to that. And that one of them is always the weather. We're not going to do our regular fantasy segment at the end of this video. We actually did it last week. So if you want, you'd like to kind of catch up on what you missed for the F1 fantasy strategy, make sure to click the video. And we dive a little bit deeper into it, but we're really excited about this one this week.
So there's some interesting stories, as there always is, about the racetrack, and they kind of built a track in the 30s, going through the streets and stuff, and they couldn't maintain that for very long because they were invaded in World War II by Germany. And one of the things the Germans did was kind of eliminate the track and put straight paths down, because they actually like to march and parade down the street to show that they were now in charge of it. So it disappeared, and then in the late 40s it reappeared. It went along very well, and it's kind of a cool track because the locals, there might be 2,000-3,000 pedal bikes around the perimeter of the stadium. So it's they love the race, and when they rebuilt it, and I said earlier, everything was going fine and until the 80s, and I think it was 1986 or 87. What happened was the company that had been running the show went out of business. One thing about the Dutch Grand Prix, as is Silverstone, they're the only 2 races that aren't subsidized by the government. They're purely on their own. So in 1987, the town of Zandvoort actually sold off some of the land of the racetrack for some. They were building bungalows at the time. So it didn't reappear, but after that, they started rebuilding a different track. So they changed it considerably, and that's when all the bank corners and everything came in. With Max Verstappen on the scene, they arranged to start the racing again in 2021. But the bad news is this is the penultimate Grand Prix in Holland. This is the second last one. Next year will be the final one, and they don't seem to think they're going to be able to find a way back to get it in there. But what they're going to do next year, because it'll be huge, and they're also going to add a sprint to next year's race. So they're going to go out with a bang.
I'm sad to see it go, to be honest. I do like it. It is one of my favorite tracks on the sim. So you know what? We got to enjoy it while we have it, and hopefully they do bring it back one day. But that being said, that opens up opportunities for some new great circuits to come.
But one last thing on the people that now own, I think it's still the city that own the racetrack. It's weird in Holland. They're only allowed 4 loud days a year.
Wow.
Which I've never heard of before. So believe it or not, the guy in charge of the track is visiting America. He is looking at putting a NASCAR race in Holland. And you might think that's blasphemous, but I think it's super cool. Okay, so I think we should do now, this is actually a very interesting part of this. I like this because for you people that might not know the track really well, this is where Sean can actually do a lap, and his times are pretty good. So why don't you show us the way around Zandvoort?
All right. Well, which car should we hop in this weekend?
I think you should take Max's car.
All right. Let's go.
Okay,
this week we are racing in Zandvoort. In the rain, cockpit mode. Verstappen's car, third place. Coming up to the Tarzan corner. You can technically take in inside or outside line. Unfortunately, being stuck in the middle still. Very difficult section coming up here. Huge bank, got to take the proper line here. The exit is extremely important. Any lowest speed you can get is line straight. Pretty quick right hander. The downshift to fifth gear. Just cut the corners here. Take it wide, turn in. Still stuck behind 2 cars right now. This is a tricky left-hander all the way down the second gear before we open it up. 6th, 7th. Right here. Another tricky right and left-hander. Not quite the same as the other bank, but very important exit. Final sector here of the circuit. As much top speed as we can. Head down that final straight. That is a lap of Zandvoort.
Well, thanks for the lap, Sean. I'm a little out of breath after watching that, but good job.
Thank you. You could probably see from watching the video why it's so much fun to drive. It's definitely not an easy one, and probably one of the harder ones to nail down. I love it.
The one thing I noticed was that that mask that you wear really messes up your hair.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't help at all. I'm so excited the break is over. It's honestly felt like an eternity. Again, if you guys like the videos, please support us by liking and subscribing. It means a lot. Make sure to click the link to our latest video for all that F1 strategy, fantasy tips, and lineups. It's going to be a good one. I don't know where you stand in your pool, but wish you all the best of luck. There's definitely some things to look out for this week, and next week we're going into Italy, so we have to set up our teams properly for that race. Yeah, we've arrived in the Netherlands. What's with all the red lights everywhere, Pops?
That's what happens when you go to the Heineken house first. Viva the Holland!